And then after that I went back up to Colombia, went up to see frailejones, this type of plant that exists in what's called the Paramo here, so the highlands, above about 3,000 metres in general, 2,800 metres, something like that. And I think they grow about a centimetre a year, they say, is a general rule. And so what they do is when it's misty like it is today, then they capture that mist and it collects on the leaves and then it gets filtered down and they capture water. So if you've got lots of frailejones, this type of plant, then you can capture water. But if you don't have them, then the mist will just go past and you won't have any water coming down from the mountains. So they say that's becoming a problem because some land is being cleared for cattle and other things, just farmland in general, I suppose. Anyway, after that I heard from my friend Thomas again, and he was going into the jungle, into a place called Vaupes, which is pretty much in the Amazon basin. It's in Colombia still. And we were going to go to a ceremony, traditional ceremony, and I was going to shoot photos there. And I didn't know if I should go. I was thinking about whether I would go or not, and then I decided to just say yes. And I went, and we ended up flying down. I went to one place, I was kayaking around there, and then I got an old like a DC-10. You know, again, Indiana Jones style with the open back, and I just had like a really basic seat in the back, just like a cargo plane, and got that part of the way. And then we got a light aircraft onto a grass airstrip, and then from there we had dugout canoe that would take about another 50 k's into the jungle, and we arrived at a place called Altamira on the Cananari River. And it was where Schultz, Evan Schultz, the biologist from Harvard, who did a lot of work down there, studying the culture and looking. He was doing rubber research as well. I think that was one of his kind of mandates down there, but general research too. So we arrived at this village, and I saw that the villagers were painted in blue, had this blue marking on them and on their feet too. And then I found out that it wasn't just a ceremony, it was a Yage ceremony, which is the word here for ayahuasca. So basically it's seen as one of the most powerful psychedelics in the world. And then Thomas asked me, are you going to try it? And I thought for a few seconds, and then I said yes. But I'd known about mushrooms and stuff and these other psychedelics, acid and everything for years, but I never touched them because I thought that I might get psychosis and just get trapped in another world. So I was always apprehensive to try those things. But I thought, I'm here. I wasn't searching for it, but it's found me. After all these years of being in the jungle and everything down here, then I thought, yeah, it's time. And I'm in a village, and it's part of their tradition as well, part of their yearly traditions to do it at this time. So it was a big event. And so I did it, and then I drank Yage with a wonderful shaman called Alirio, and he just died about 2 months ago as well. So it was, again, another really unique experience to be with him because he was powerful then. And I've been back a few times since, and I could see him going down and stuff, and he didn't do the ceremonies in the last few years. His son was taking over. He was going to be the next shaman, or page, as they call them here. But I saw him when he had that power and he was doing the incantations and everything. And so I had Yage, and sitting there with a wooden sword as well, that was to prop us up. And then you have mambe, which is coca powder with jaruma, what they call jaruma leaves, and jopo as well, that's tobacco, and again jaruma, and maybe some other things in there. And So that kind of kept you going, I suppose, throughout the night, because I ended up staying up for about 48 hours or something in the end. The ceremony went for a whole night, but I'd already been up for the day before and then stayed up into the afternoon as well. But it was incredible, and it's hard to describe everything that I saw. And at first it hit me really hard, and I had to go to the toilet outside, and I went into the bushes, and I thought, I can just stay here forever. This is my world here in the jungle, talking to the plants and stuff, and I was totally fine with that, just being there. But and Yage was saying, no, go to the community, and that's what it was telling me to do. So I went back into what they call the Maloka, and I sat there with everyone, and it was still hitting me hard. But usually the women sit over one side, but they came over to sit with me, and they brought their little babies too, and they were giving them milk and stuff too, and they had little hammocks, and they're all speaking in their dialect too. And so how could you not be relaxed? Because I was a little bit paranoid, but then I had women and children and babies right next to me, so it made me totally relaxed again, and I could ride it then. Even though it was really powerful, I could ride it again. And I saw things like the structure of the universe and what we see after death, and it was reorganizing my brain as well, just settling my brain down, I felt too. And I saw the connections back to my father too, that the DNA as well, that I was there, I was in the jungle, I physically could get to the jungle. And even though at the start maybe I couldn't take photos that well at first, after all these years, after all this practice, then finally what I was feeling was coming out in the photos, and that's what I felt. And I felt my dad's DNA, his eyes, still watching, still experiencing life, because I'm alive. He lives in me still, and that's what I strongly felt. And then the community was doing a dance too. At first the men is thumping the ground with instruments, bamboo, like it's hollowed out bamboo with water in it, and waking up the earth, I thought, saying, here we are, we're dancing for you. And the men would go around at first, and then they would be with their partners, and then the babies, and it was all about uniting the community. And towards the end as well, then the boys and girls, the teenage boys and girls, were dancing together, and they had colours, in the colours of the rainbow as well, just moving in and out and chanting and stuff. And I thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world. And it was something like that Yage connects communities, whereas alcohol destroys them. That's what I felt. And I saw that they put light back on a torch again towards the end as well, and it was like lighting the first light on earth again, bringing light to the earth again, out of darkness into the light, similar to Dreamtime stories, Aboriginal Dreamtime stories in Australia, and many other myths and legends that Joseph Campbell, for example, studied and noted down all the connections through The Hero with 1,000 Faces, where things like Star Wars were born from that. But before that, myths for thousands of years, they've got, the hero or someone on a similar journey who goes out into the world and then brings something back to the community, or comes back a changed person. And that's the general structure, and that's the general structure of life as well. And if you go towards fear, then that's what you face, those challenges and stuff. They don't even have to be physically far. It could be anything within your community, or just something that is true to you. You go out there and you go on your adventure, and then you come back a changed person with growth and stuff, and you are the hero in the end as well. No one even has to know. It can just be totally for you. But because it was honestly for you, then you've made progress. And it depends on the person too. So after about 20 years, let's say from 1998 until 2017, so 19, 20 years, this journey had finally ended. And here it was, in the jungle. after seeing all these countries, having all these experiences, then I felt like it was enough. I'd seen enough. And everything from then was a bonus for me. And I'd survived so much. I'd survived death so many times, facing death so many times, over 100 times, maybe 200 times or something like that. And I was still here. And we finished the ceremony, and then we went up into the jungle, into a cave where there'd been snakes. And I thought there was wind rushing through it at first, but it was actually bats, thousands of bats flying above. And there are also cave paintings too that we don't know how old they are. It could be thousands of years old. And they described the progression of the community, of humanity in a simple way. There are other places in Colombia, down in that area where and Chiribiquete as well. There's paintings down there in that area of Colombia, much bigger. But they tell a similar story. And all those paintings around the world, they tell similar stories. And there's petroglyphs here as well, which I've seen in Colombia too. And you just come back to the same thing. Because wisdom, if it's real wisdom, it doesn't change. That's why it's wisdom. It never changes. If it changes, then it's not wisdom, or it's at a surface level. So that's why we can connect with everyone around the world, because we're under these same forces and we have these same feelings and stuff. We're all very similar in the end.